Good. So welcome everyone. 6 minutes late. I'm really, really sorry about that, but Angela has been keeping you entertained and engaged rather, and entertained, I hope. My name is Amakove Wala, and I am a conversationalist. For those who are new on this page, we are on our second webinar, 2020 Thrive. And this is in conjunction with Enable Advisors with the lovely Dr. Angela Gichaga. She's going to tell us a bit more about herself and also just a bit of recap from the last meeting. And I'll chip in into what I personally took away from that meeting. Go ahead, Angela.
Great. Thanks again for having us. For the second time, Amakove, we really enjoyed ourselves the last time. My name is Angela, and as you heard from Amakove, I am a lover of life, and I achieve my purpose in different ways. I enjoy supporting people excel in their journey in this life. And that is more of a holistic approach. I believe that we can thrive. I think there's a reality to thriving, which I'll share a little bit more about. But I achieved my purpose through executive coaching, masterclasses, speaking engagements, and I also currently run about 3 entities that are in the health, finance, and investment space. So back to you, Amakove.
Wonderful. When you mentioned 3 entities, you reminded me, someone asked me, how many things are you doing? So maybe we'll get to know whether it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, or how do we get the balance when it comes to thriving? So what is last webinar we had, and it's available as a recording on the Enable Advisors website. So you should be able to catch up with us. But I think just briefly tell us, I think there were 4 C's, if I'm not wrong. The reason why we are here is it's a new year, okay, relatively new by now. And quite a number of us are really focused on setting goals in January. And then halfway through, or maybe by March, April, we're like, should we not? And at some point we lose focus, and then before we realize it's December, and you get very defeated. So one of the things I really, really enjoyed about this book that we're talking about here, it is my Optimized Life System Journal. So it's like a diary, but it's not a diary, as I'd mentioned. It has months that are not labeled. So if you want to start your plan in February 13th, which is today, it's very, very flexible to do that. And it has both the hard copy and the soft copy for those of you who prefer, typing to rather writing in books. But Angela, just briefly explain to us, one, what is the role of a coach? Why you did this book, because this book is by Angela and her team. And second and third, what are the 4 C's that we learned about last time? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amakove. And I'm glad to be back here. And if there are people who are here in the first webinar, please also remind us of, do you remember the 4 C's? Were they relevant to you? Please put it in the chat box. The role of a coach, I'll reframe what I said as well in the first webinar. I do believe that we are all some form of unique diamond when we come into the world, but we are a diamond in the rough. And some people spend time to become self-aware and develop, but some people just live, like they just exist. Today is today, we're going to do it. They go with the flow, and they may not necessarily have the time to pause, reflect about their life, really identify what they want in life and what they need to do, because life is busy and life is actually lifing. So a coach is someone who helps you really, one, focus on yourself, be able to pause the world and really look inside within yourself to understand who you are, what you want to achieve, what are the barriers to that achievement, what support do you need to do, how can you be more self-aware. A coach is also someone who helps you really dig deep and find that treasure inside, right? And it's a balance of encouragement and pushing the boundaries, but it's also a balance of holding people accountable, right? Sometimes we make too many excuses to approach what we need to do. And hopefully coaching will help you, not just in the one area of life and the one goal that you bring to coaching, but it'll give you tools that you can use and apply across all areas of your life. And so what are the 4Cs? I'm looking forward to seeing in the chat what the 4Cs are, and also on Facebook. But we talked about the fact that if you want to set goals, there are 4Cs you need to take into account. The 4Cs are cadence, CADENCE, or cadence. School that we attended. There's also the second C, which is chase. The third C is calibrate, and the fourth C is celebrate. So cadence is how long are you going to plan for? I personally think that for your life, it's 1 year is too short because you have big dreams and some of them take some time. But also sometimes it's hard to plan more detailed long term. Chase is you need a combination of motivation and discipline to really, really approach your goals. The third is calibrate. A goal is set with what you know. Today, you know what you know. You don't know what you don't know tomorrow. Something can come up. So goals are not necessarily so set in stone that you can't change them, right? Of course, you don't constantly change them because it beats the purpose, but be flexible to adapt. And the last one is celebrate, and celebrate both milestones and achievements. So progress over perfection. And so
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, go
you'd
ahead.
asked about the journal.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the reason we developed this journal with Sharon, who's wonderfully on the call, and others and the rest of the team, was the fact that we believe life is awesome and all aspects of our life have to have space in our lives. And so we were very keen on developing the journal as a tool to help our how to set our life system in place, how to track our progress, how to encourage ourselves and motivate, how to plan, how in all areas of our lives, how to celebrate, how to keep us honest, how to dream big with our vision boards, priority list, budget tracker. Like people have so many tools that they use, and we're trying to put as many of these tools in a way that made sense, so that this is your life. This can help you plan your life. Back to you, Amakove. Back to you in studio.
We are getting the hang of it, yeah. So one of the things that you graciously took us through was just breaking your goals into small bits and pieces. For example, if you want to focus on, and this is what I love about this journal, that there's no pressure, guys. And for me, who doesn't love pressure, there's no pressure to have a certain fixed way of doing things. And you don't have to check all the boxes. Like you don't have to have a fitness goal, a financial goal, a relationship goal. So you select what you want, you select what you're gonna achieve, and you can break it down into a month and into week by week, and then week by week into day by day. So let's talk about the goal. So I chose the financial goal. And for me, the financial goal, because we said we're going to be accountable to each other. So one of the things that I have really wanted is to diversify my sources of income. Giving just a brief about my background, I'm a medical doctor who doesn't practice. Thank you very much. But I do something called consultancies in health system strengthening. Now, consultancies are not reliable in terms of you can't predict when you're going to get anything. And especially now that you see what US has done to especially that field. So the other things I do are now my personal businesses. I have a travel platform that's Wanderlust Diaries. I have a domestic worker bureau placement, that's Nyarai. And now I was faced with a dilemma that I needed to uplift someone who works for me. I needed to uplift their life in terms of supporting their child through college education, but I knew that my resources were very stretched. So I said, you know what? There's something that we can both do because we both have some time to spare, and we also both recognize there's a need. And so we said, okay, why not start fish business, fish selling? Actually, the reason why I'm late is I'm from handling fish, and those are last customer just before I got into the car, but. I often get stuck with, have to check Do I have the licenses? Do I have the permits? Do I have the vendors? Do I have whatnot? And I realized that perfectionist attitude really sets me back, because sometimes you can't get all these things at once. Of course, you get your necessary regulatory requirements, but you can't always have the best seats first. You can't always have the best plates or whatever it is. So I remembered that the journal said, and it has within it, it also has some very encouraging phrases or comments. So this is how I started, just like that. So I saw my kids, in fact, when I was sharing with my kids, are like, "Oh, mom, another business." But I was like, this is something I committed to do, because I'm very passionate about education. So for me, I'd go out of my way to support someone through education. But I knew also that it would be unrealistic on what I'm currently getting from my businesses to support something else. So this is how the fish business started. And this is how we are here. Yes, Angela, this is how we are here. Because I said, you know what, I can't take people through something that I don't believe in or that I don't practice. Yeah. And let's see how it goes. So maybe you can also share, Angela, because you are also to get something for yourself. Even being the coach also needs to do something. Yeah.
Indeed, like we say, mganga hajigangi. The doctor, the traditional doctor does not traditional doctor themselves. So I also get coaching, and I love where you started. And I actually wanted just to pause because as I mentioned for the people who joined a bit early, from the first webinar we did get a few comments and feedback back, and I just wanted to maybe set some of the tone, not to excuse myself, because I will still be accountable, and I'll explain my goal. But I just wanted to answer a few questions that came up from a few team members, audience members and people who came for the first webinar. So the first feedback we're getting is people were struggling with goal setting. Either they had made goals in the past and not met them or became disappointed. Maybe people didn't know where to start, what to focus on, or maybe had such a long list of goals. And so sometimes we're like, okay, which goal do I choose? How do I know what to start with? Like we say, the Amakove, there's all this pressure that every area of your life has to be fully planned by January 1st. Otherwise, poof, your life disappears. No, it's not the truth, right? Life is unfolding. And for those who are struggling with goal setting, for those who are not sure which goal, or maybe in the past few years, you've not met many of your goals, you really want to just know where do you need to focus yourself. I had 2 words of encouragement for you, right? If you don't know what to choose, or if you don't know what to pursue, as this quote says, if you don't know what to pursue in life right now, pursue yourself. Pursue yourself. And what does that actually mean? Pursue becoming the healthiest, happiest, most healed, most present, most confident version of yourself. Then the right path will reveal itself. And so maybe you have had a goal around your career, you've tried to be promoted, or you've been trying to get a new job and you're not getting the new job. And so you feel like, what goal can I pursue in my career? If you're thinking to how do you want to become the most confident version and most present, you might begin to think, to be confident, maybe in the office, maybe I need to speak up more. I need to do another course. I need to build myself. Maybe there's an opportunity within. Maybe I've been looking outside and actually my place to grow is within. And so if it's about focusing on becoming a better self, and it's the micro habits. It's I can wake up half an hour early. I can listen to a podcast in traffic. I can choose one meal not to have the 3 mandazis and 6 sausages, and maybe skuma can feature, or cabbages. I don't know if cabbage is still raining after January. So this is the first encouragement, right? The second encouragement I wanted to give people is the love of your life is the love of your life. The love of your life is the love of your life. And both of these, as you can see, I have sources there. These are things that we see in social media, things that are circulating information. But what does that actually mean? Love the life you live and live the life you love. That also seems very non-specific. And I'm not saying that these are goals in principle, because you need to be smart and, time-bound and all that. But if you're coming from, I don't know where to start big, start broad. What would make me love my life? Maybe I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy one of my hobbies that I had forgotten, reading a book, dancing, doing something. Maybe I know that I need to reduce my stress. So maybe I walk. It doesn't work. Maybe I meditate. It doesn't work. Maybe I try something different. So sometimes when we are looking, we think we've narrowed the love of our life to a more like a romantic focus or a relationship. But the love of our life is the love of our life. It's loving the life we live and living a life that we love. And so you can actually start there with goal setting. And again, the micro habits will lead you towards the path of where you need to go. The second question we got from our first webinar, and I encourage people who are here to go watch it, is it really realistic to thrive every time, right? All 100% every single day, 365 days, 12 months. And it is not realistic for all of us to be in that space. Actually, in life, we go through survive, live, thrive, and then live, then some surviving. It's like an ebb and flow. It's an ebb and flow. So it's not very realistic for many of us to. Some of us somehow may have achieved it, but for majority of us, we can't thrive all the time, and we can't thrive in all areas of our life. So in different seasons, different parts of our lives are thriving. Other parts of our lives, we're just keeping the ball rolling. And in some areas, due to factors that we create or other factors, we are surviving, right? But again, the goal is to make sure that on average, like the first webinar we said, on average, when you look at a chunk of time in your life, if it's a quarter or half a year, at least have moments of thriving in all those important areas of your life within that period of time. So it's not every minute in every day you're thriving in all areas of your life. So that's a question we got from the people who attended the first webinar. And remember, for those who are struggling with goal setting, a reminder that we've put a lot of videos up on our social media. So follow us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook. We've put a lot of videos up to help with more details after the webinar on how to actually set your goal. So there's more support there to follow on. Something that is happening in social media, everyone's like January trial period, then now it's February trial period. Then it will be December trial period. And that's how 2025 disappears. It is okay to offer yourself grace, right? Give yourself time to plan. Giving yourself time to plan does not stop the hand of time. Time is moving. And so it's a balance of giving yourself time to plan, but also being clear by a certain time, you have to have at least 1 or 2 goals you're working towards so that the year doesn't pass and you're in the same place today that you are at the beginning of the year. Many of us live the same day every day for 75 years, and that is not a good life, right? We need to be thriving. So, as I said, we are here to be accountable and to talk about the areas of our lives that we promised to look at. So for me, I like the hard copy. I like the hard copy. I love writing things down. And as you can see up here, I don't know if you can see 2025 Thrive. You see all the colors. Amakove, I told you, me, I'm mtu wa colors. Everywhere, colors, everywhere, colors. So the one area of my life I decided to focus on for the month we had was around relationships, right? And I wrote here, I want to spend quality and quantity time with people that I love and people who I value. So that is a big goal, right? I think I've always focused on quality because I sometimes don't have as much quantity. But as time goes by, I'm realizing these are relationships I want to really focus on and nurture. And so what I told myself is that one way I can do this, there are many goals under that, but the one goal I focused for in January, in the last month, was like I was going to go for one trip with a group of people that I care about very deeply. So there's good news and other news. Amakove, which news do you want to hear first?
Let's start with the good news.
let's start with the good news. Well, before I start, see our delay tactics. I have this quote I want to read from the journal.
Okay.
Then I started about my reporting. So it's a quote, and there are many quotes, as Amakove said in the journal. It says, because the greatest part of a road trip isn't only arriving at your destination, it's all the wild stuff that has happened along the way. And that's by Emma Chase. The good news, I said I wanted to have one trip this quarter with people that I care and love. I would like to report that I have overshot that target.
Wow.
I actually have gone on 2 trips.
Yeah.
One was more planned than the other. Yes, in January, indeed. One was planned, so there were some resources that had been set aside. The other one was known in the distant, but not really planned, but both happened. So on one hand, I'm really excited. And that was my one area of the goal. On the other hand, I continued a not so good habit from December, where my budget was here, but my expenditure was here. So they were not, the math was not mathing. Eh? And sometimes you get to a point you're like, you can see you're creeping above, then you realize, you know what, it is what it is. Let's go. So the goodness of the experience I've had in January is that I'm very happy that I have overshot that goal. But the January goal has given rise to my next focus area, which is going to be the finances, because we need to make sure we cannot have 3 months of the kind of living I am living. It is not ideal for adulthood. So that is at a high level my accountability. One area was relationship. I choose a goal. One of the goals was trips with people I love. I had more trips than I had planned. And I spent way, way, way more than I had planned to spend. And so finances is going to be on the books very soon. Very, very soon. Back to you, Amakove.
Thank you. Thank you for overshooting your goal. I will choose to be optimistic that those trips that you went for, that networks will come out from there, that they will bring you back the finances through the what you do best, which is coaching. So great, guys. You've heard from Angela, and I think one of my take homes for this recap that she did was that life is a web. And sometimes, especially if you are living on social media like some of us, there's a lot of pressure to thrive, a lot of pressure to thrive. I think today I put up a post about someone writing to me when they saw that I'd just started that fish thing. And I'm the type to start and succeed spectacularly or fail spectacularly. But either way, I start. So she's like, oh, you've really encouraged me to do things. And she said that she had stopped going out for networking events or events because she didn't want to be seen in the same outfit twice. So when she saw that I am appearing in my, I have a favorite one that, and you guys know about my shoes and my love for one, so one pair of shoes until it gets spoiled. She was like, but I've seen you just go and you're yourself. Like you are not under pressure to dress this way or to always show up with a different outfit. Guys, I have very few clothes, especially now that I've put on weight. I have even fewer clothes. So I think the pressure to thrive is immense, or to show that you're thriving. And I think especially to show that you're thriving financially. And we forget the thriving mentally, physically, relationship wise, other types of thriving that may not necessarily have the same weight that society puts on finances. So it's good to know that life is an ebb. It's good to celebrate. I love the last C, which is celebrate, and that's something that I do unapologetically. I'd like to hear from you guys as we continue with this webinar. Feel free to use the chat box for those who are on the webinar. Feel free to chat on Facebook for those who are on Facebook. I'm monitoring it, and so is someone behind the scenes. Let's share what has been your achievement, if you set any, since the last webinar. So I've mentioned that mine was starting something because of a need that someone close to me had. And so far, I am even learning that fish have different sizes. Who knew that fish have different sizes? So we are there, we are essing it, we are, getting into the trenches and all that comes with it, but we're enjoying it. And it's tiring, my dear. It's tiring because you still have other things to do. You still have parenting, you still have to look for money through the other routes. So it's not very easy. But it is something that's fulfilling. And for me, the fact that I had to come back to this webinar on 13th of February and to give feedback just gave me that impetus to say, you know what, I can do this. For Angie, knowing her and her busy schedule, that she fitted 2 trips. I think that's amazing. Now, Angie, I'll challenge you. Now, write about those trips on Wanderlust. You don't have to share your faces, but just put the scenery. What was it? How was it? And whatnot. Yeah, so feel free, guys. I'll be checking the chat boxes. But Angie, so we've reached this certain space. So maybe you've checked off, okay, you did the 2 trips. And then what? Do you sit back and then you say, okay, now I overshot my budget. So have you finished with that goal and now you embark on another one, or how do you transition, or whatever it is? Thank you.
Yeah, very good question. And as I come to answer that question, I wanted to pick on something you've said about thriving. And it's the same with success. It's the same with so many other things. You need to define for yourself what that means to you. There is no one way to thrive, right? It's you to define for yourself. For me, thriving is, I get to spend not just the quality time, but now I'm increasing the quantity time with people that I love, right? It could, and that could look anything. So like anything. So to your question, what happens now to that goal? The big theme still exists. That was one goal. And remember, it was one trip per quarter. So it's not that I just did one goal. I had a theme under it. I had a goal, but the goal was quantifiable, and it's per quarter. So I know that at least in the next quarter, I don't know if I should count these 2. I don't know how it works. The finances will dictate the reality, but anyway, so I know there's that goal that is going on. It's not the only goal under spending more quality and quantity time, right? And so from those trips, I realized, oh, this was so fantastic. But then there's also that thing of when you're on a trip, you have the different people. There, I want to see everything under the sun, and others are like, I am here to relax. I am not here to meet objectives, right? So you have different personalities, and so you don't actually end up having as much time together that you're just chilling, catching up, bonding, because some people have gone for activities and everything. You have that time and you have a lot of fun. But I realized I need to build a goal around just one-on-one time as opposed to just only the girls' trip that I went to, right? So you see now already that actual goal in the same area has brought up another goal in that same area that I'm able to define differently. And then for me, if I'm starting area by area, it's not that we finish one area, oh, now relationships, now we go into finances. No, I have these goals. It's very clear. I've added one more. I have one theme. So as you saw in the journal, you cannot see. Okay, I should open the digital. You see, I'm so digital. I'm so analog. I'm a I don't like this digital things. I tried using the digital version. It's well designed. It looks exactly like this. It can do its own calculations, but I'm not a fan. Anyway, so in the relationships area, I have my goals. So now I just add the finance, right? So as we go along, I'll be trying to do more quality time, one-on-one. Also different types of people. It looks different for how we do it, yeah? The other one is I'll add now finances to it. And the finances, curtail the budget. One of the ways I have claimed I am saving money is because I was meant to do my hair at the beginning of the month. I have not done it. I assure you, the budget of the hair will not replace the over budgeting. But in my mind, girl math, it contributes. But then, again, for me, it's more like, okay, what does it look like for the rest of the quarter as well? So one doesn't replace the other. You just build goals on top. And then at some point, you'll be like, oh, I can't do all these things at once. What is going to be my focus this month, right? Which is that one area, because something else is happening in life. Or what's going to be my focus this quarter. So that's how you can build goals. And if you're the superstar who has all your goals up front, wonderful. It's great. As long as the goals are more, you're meant to be stretched in life, stretching yourself, but you're not meant to be creating your own stress. So stretch yourself, but don't stress yourself. And there's a fine line.
You're dropping those catchy words, stretch, but not don't stress. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm taking notes. So I take notes, but on a gadget, Angela. Okay, so I think it's important. Do you ever, this is now from me to you as a coach or from someone who's getting the hang of this goal setting, do you ever feel there's a time where you're just okay not setting any goals? Like you're taking a break, like you don't have to work at something and you just want to be. There's no pressure of I have to lose weight, I have to see friends, I have to do this and that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I agree that sometimes you can choose to go slow. You can choose to ease into the year. You choose to give yourself a grace period. It is fine. At the end of the day, Amakove, once we grow up, it's adulting. By the way, adulting is 1 star. I do not recommend. Really, a lot more is within our decision-making power. And so we can make decisions to ease into the year. There are people who've decided I don't want any goals, I'm not having any resolution, I'm going with the flow, right? And on our social media we made a video around the fallacy of control. That actually not we lie to ourselves that there's a lot in our control. We can't even control the next minute. But it's not an excuse for us not to live intentionally. The truth is, there are consequences for decisions, right? On one hand, if you have too many goals and from you're stressing yourself, there's something around being toxic productivity. Every minute, I have to have something I show for every minute of my life. No, some of us have forgotten how to just chill. I'm one of those people, I'm like, oh, if I put on pajati, I'm gonna sit in the house and I'm like, guy, now I'm not let me shower. Hey, okay, let me do this. I'm like, hey, by the way, I haven't done, and you just find yourself doing a number of things. But if you continue in a state of just living life and going with the flow with no direction, the flow will take you to places that you don't know sometimes, you may not want to be, right? So there are consequences to that. So it's fine to give yourself a grace period, to give yourself some time to ease in. Maybe you had a very rough year or a rough season. Maybe you're going through grief. Maybe you've just given birth. I mean, you can't be there. I want to, like there's a child that needs your attention. And in those first few critical days of the child's life, you can't have a balanced day of, focusing on some other areas of your life. May not be realistic. So I don't have an issue with that. I would caution people to go with the flow the entire year because we can regain all resources that we have in the world. We can't regain time. And because we don't know the number of our days, you might be saying, I'll do something next year, and then you don't know whether you'll be here or in what state you'll be here next year in the life. Wow, that sounded very morbid, but anyway, it's a reality.
Yeah. It's true. You have to live to the fact that yeah, you may be gone tomorrow. So, and I think you mentioned that live the life you love the life you live. Eh? It's Bob Marley. I guess there's a tune behind that.
Indeed.
Another question from me, and guys, feel free to. There's some. There's one question we've asked you guys, and you're not responding. Is it that you don't have bundles to respond to? No, but there's this question about thriving. What does thriving mean to you? I think we'd love to hear from you guys. Chat there. Lift your hand if you're within the webinar. We'll unmute you, so that's okay. Now, about accountability. So it's all very rosy when you sit down and you would want to. Oh, sorry. Someone has said the chat is disabled, so let me check on that. But as I'm
Oh.
checking on that, Angie, in terms of accountability, yeah, um, it's all rosy, or it's okay. I've repeated that rosy thing. Tomorrow is
You
Valentine's.
like rises, you have some expectations. Your subconscious is talking. We see your
Oh my goodness.
subconscious.
Yeah, so excuse me about that rosy thing. But so here we are because we expect to be on a webinar. So, someone is going to ask you, how do you keep yourself accountable when you don't have someone, to respond to? How do you stay true to what you've put down? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I I would say there's self-accountability, but there's also a role for accountability, the community that you love and trust and who love you and care for you, right? For self-accountability, I sometimes feel that, you know what, there are goals we'll set and life will happen. And no matter how much we try, we might not meet those goals. That's fine. But sometimes it's because whether we didn't set the right goals or we look at goals as abstract things we need to achieve, like the workplace is an objective, hit those targets, and we separate the what, which is the goal, from the why, which is the emotion, right? So don't put a goal as you put goals, and we talked about this in the first webinar. Make sure you attach the goal to the importance of that goal, right? Don't just be like, I want to lose 5,000 kilograms, like be clear why. Why is that important to you? Why is this making it to the goal? And it's, I want to be healthy, to being able to run after my kids. I don't want lifestyle diseases. I want to wear that killer bikini and shock this person who, like they must be motivations, right? So link that with emotion and motivation. I like it, Evelyn. Thriving in happiness and peace. Fantastic. The other self-accountability is also tracking, right? Because sometimes we don't codify what we want to achieve. So in January, we are very clear. But on March 23rd, we're like, yeah, by the way, what was I supposed to do, right? So, and there's so many tools out there to track what goals you're setting. Again, the Optimized Life System Journal is here, and there's so many other tools available that you can use to track your goals, so that there's somewhere you go back and look at. People love vision boards. People like find a way to keep reminding yourself of the goals. Either set it as a reminder, or use tracking tools to do that. I think that's as part of the self accountability that exists. The third one, though, is the community accountability, Amakove. What we're doing right now, right? Because sometimes you can give yourself excuses. But if you have a community that who cares about you and you trust, let them know what you're trying to achieve, so that the next time you're there and you're like, oh, with the 5,000 kilos you're trying to lose, you're there and you go and you're ordering this meal and sounds like, is that what she's going to get? Then they keep you accountable as well. So I do think there's something around community accountability that is going to be important around you sticking to your goals. I do think the fourth thing I want to reflect on is like dreams in our life. Goals can evolve, change, and there can be a time where the goal no longer serves us, right? And we need to learn how to let go of certain goals that don't serve us, right? And a good example of that in conclusion is, for example, you can have this goal that you've been pursuing for 5, 6, 7 years. You've tried different things and it's stressing you out. Like I said, it's really putting you down. You need to reevaluate that goal. Why is it that you want that goal? Some goals were relevant 3, 4 years ago, but it appearing in your every new 5-year plan, you need to question if it has a new place there. Or like you said, along the way now you have a fish business on top of Wanderlust, on top of like you get, like, did you know last year you'd be selling fish? Did you know? Did you know? You see, so now you need to understand that when certain circumstances and opportunities arise, you might have to modify, change, or dream a new dream. And there's some goals that you might have to to let go of. So I also wanted to make sure we are aware of that.
Right. I like that you're allowed to change your mind, guys. Unless it is you're changing it to a more harmful habit, then you need to check on that. But you're allowed to change your mind and give yourself that grace. I think you mentioned grace is very, very important in terms of part of the the journey through this goal setting. We have Anne who's written on the chat box, and I really apologize. I don't know how that setting came to be. So feel free to keep on chatting there or do your Q&A. Also on shout out to those who are following on Facebook. Feel free to chat in the comment. So Anne says she had two goals. One, to diversify her investments. In the last 1 month, she has researched options and has narrowed down to two. She'll make her decision in the next 2 months. Wow. Well done, Anne. Anne looks like a planner like you, Angela. So that is very good. She's done her proper research and now she's going to narrow into two. Then the second thing she had as a goal was to pursue herself or living intentionally. And this is what she's done. So far, she has been visiting the gym at least once a week, which was her goal. So very smart goal that she put it once a week, number one. Two, she started taking some supplements once per day every 2 weeks. Go girl. Yeah. And eating less processed foods. Yeah, come for fish. Maximum 1 to 2 times a week. Wow. And other small things that are just too many to list, according to her, in the course of the day. So she was very, very specific. And thank you, Anne, for sharing this. She had two goals, very smart ones, meaning that it was specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time specific. Yeah. And she's managed to check them off. So congratulations. What would you want to say to Anne?
Congratulations, Anne. I actually know Anne, and yes, she's a very great planner. She's a brilliant person. We work together. And I do think that it's great to be that smart. It's fantastic to have that level of clarity. And actually, the other thing around goals and maybe starting where you are and then growing that over time is that as you get to achieve a goal, it gives you such joy. It reinforces you and energizes you to, achieve another goal. So there's something around also. I like the fact that she has two goals. It's very clear. It's financial, it's health, living intentionally. It's spa days every 2 weeks. Amakove, where did we go wrong in life? Where? It's spa days every 2 weeks. It's exercising, it's great food, and nourishing yourself. So congratulations, Anne. Really, really impressive. Thanks for sharing.
Wonderful. We have also someone quoting and saying, how can they access this journals? Maybe let's narrow down to this journal. So for those who joined us, this is the journal that we're talking about. It's a journal, so it's not a diary. Yeah, I like that it's not a diary. Then it doesn't fix me to dates, but it still keeps you accountable. So maybe Angie, why write such a journal? Why even write? I mean, they say we don't love reading or we don't love writing in these books. Why did you choose to do this?
Yeah, thanks. And Sharon will put in the chat box and also in the comments live. These are available on our website, www.enableadvisors.com with a hyphen. But we'll keep the details in the chat box. Again, for me, I was just like, so I'm a plan. To a huge detriment. Again, to your point you asked earlier, how do you do all
What?
these things?
We missed that part. I think it's all of you.
I say it to my detriment. I am a planner, right?
Okay. Okay.
Like I'm a real planner. Like you asked me, how do you actually end up doing all these things in life? How do you manage? How do you run? Chetty, you have multiple teams across. Like, how do you do this? You have how many businesses? Boards. Like, how does this? You have 24 hours, like everyone. And for me, what has worked is really, really being intentional and planning my time and how I use my time and what I focus on and prioritize. So what I used to do, to your point, I used to have a diary. Then I had something for tracking my finances. Then I had something that was supposed to be something for gratitude. I had something for reflection. I liked my improved version of our vision board, which I talk about a lot in the videos on our social media. But I didn't like the fact that it was only in where I was hanging it, right? So I'll take a picture of it, but it's not clear. So I wanted something that I can walk around with, that everything is here, right? So in my financial budget thing, I can see exactly where I went wrong in my expenditure, where I let go and let go. You track and then you're like, hey, let me stop looking. Just swipe, swipe, swipe. We will in front. We will know what will happen, right? But I liked having one place where I could have a vision board. Physically, I could take a very clear picture of it, but I could carry it with me. Like I go to a meeting, I'm meeting for people. I go for a sitting meeting. I'm like, oh my God, why am I here? What am I doing? Why? And then I remind myself of my vision board. I'm like, aha, I understand how this is part of the bigger picture. I like the fact that, along the month, and I'm at your point, some people may not always have that encouraging community, right? So I like the fact that I have somewhere in my day-to-day, something I can look at day-to-day that gives me encouragement. The best is yet to come. I can go through and be motivated. I can be reminded to look at my goals, right? So, because again, life is happening and it's busy. So I liked that the all-in-one approach. And I really didn't like, because I used to invest in like 4 or 5 journals, really expensive. And then somehow 3 weeks goes by, if the ones which are dated, now those 3 days, I'm like, oh, what a waste. So I said, I will not make something that's dated. And this is the new one. I want to show people the other one I had before. As you can see, it is in pieces. And I used it for 2 years. I used it for 2 years. And I wrote my budget in a pencil because we all know the kind of financial year we had last year. And every month needed a new budget. I wrote all my things here. I loved this channel. So like you said, Amakove, not just talking about something like it's a product I sell, right? It's something I strongly believe in. It's something I've seen that helps people I coach to manage their life and remind themselves how they are falling back. So that's from my end.
This is out of curiosity. How easy was it to get a publication out? And this is especially for others who may be having that as a goal. Yeah, and then before, as you're reminiscing, it sounds so painful. So there's Rispa who has responded to our question, what thriving means to her. She says, outgrowing the former you. In brackets, you who has always been pushed to do things or meet goals. That's the former you. And I like that in this book, there is letter to your past, letter to your current, and then to a future you that you've always admired, where 80% of your to-do list are checked and this leaves you fulfilled. So for her, thriving is transitioning from the former person to a future person where, they can see the things. And I like that there's a checklist, which means that something was actually documented. And so you're able to check that off. And we have Edmond Cordero who says, please share the recording plus last month's session. I beg, share that. So I think the team at the background, please put on the links in this space, the webinar, but also in the Facebook profile. So over to you regarding that.
The journal. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. My team members, we were in the trenches together. Sharon, the hero. I was very keen on a few things. I wanted to make in Kenya, print in Kenya, do all this in Kenya. So we spent a lot of time doing prototypes. Remember, at the beginning of the journals, these were not available to the public. This is part of my coaching model. It's kind of the tools we give my coaches. So everyone who comes for coaching gets a free this journal and also gets a free coaching journal, which is about making sure you're tracking your goals for coaching specifically. And so my coach actually was like, but you do all this work to produce journals for just your coaches. Why don't you just avail these journals for other people who might want to use? Also, some of my coaches were like, I love this, Angela. Can I get one for my sister, my brother? Like, can I get from other people who are not coming for coaching? So we released this to the public. Designing and getting the right version. This is, I think, version 5. Sharon, 5, 6? Flavian, someone behind the call. Which version is this? Version 5. You're laughing.
5C, 5D there.
5, 6, 5, 6. Thanks, Sharon.
5A, 5B, like that.
5C,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it was quite frustrating, to be honest, in terms of getting a reliable publisher, printer, quality, like just quality. Then also incorporating a lot of feedback, right? So, how many ribbons do you want to have? Increase the ribbons. Things like one of my favorite features is this pocket. People are like, why do you need a pocket in a diary?
Now you can have a pocket in the digital version.
You have everything, dresses, diaries. For me, I put stickers there. Stickers for encouragement, if I want to encourage myself to stick on my pages. So it was not an easy journey, but I would say it's worth it. I do feel like we need to improve how manufacturing and production is done locally, to be honest. It was quite frustrating for all of us involved, some more than others. They may be crying behind the off camera.
Yeah, but you did it, girl, and congratulations. Congratulations. I know it's not easy. You're muted if you're talking. So it's not easy to put out something as a publisher, you're the author and you're the publisher and you're doing this in the Kenyan market. It's not easy. Do you work with mentees from other countries? And how would you compare? Are they suffering like us guys? Are they different? Are they more organized? That's just so curious, without naming the countries that you may be working with as a coach. Thank you.
Awesome. And that's a good reminder. Sharon, Flips, and whoever is behind the scenes, let's put the link for the journals from the website. Thank you. Yes, I have coached people from multiple countries, not just on the continent, but around the world. I will say we are more similar than different. However, I have seen that people, there are markets where coaching is valued even more and better understood. And so I have clients from, Europe, from Canada, people who are paying, that you don't have debates around, like this is the value. They know the value of coaching. So I think the awareness and exposure on the value of coaching and how coaching can change your life, it varies quite a lot between certain markets, but we all have comparable struggles. They may not be exactly the same, but we have comparable struggles. Yeah, I would say that's my experience.
Great. So we are coming up to the top of the hour. If you have any pressing question, feel free to lift your hand. I'll unmute you, or chat in the chat box or in the comment section on Facebook. I keep facing downwards. It's not because I'm reading other things, but I'm checking the Facebook webinar. But what is your parting shot, Angela, regarding this journey? I feel like I'm challenged now that I checked one box. I'm challenged to have another webinar, 2020 Thrive, in another 6 weeks. So that this is the only way to hold me accountable. Otherwise, I get to the next glittery thing, that comes my way. So what is your parting shot in terms of this journey? Do we need coaches? When do I seek out a coach? Is it when I'm in a crisis mode? Is it everything? Is it you gave us the live, survive, and thrive? Those webs that you mentioned. In what ebb do I start saying, hey, maybe I need to call Angela here?
Yeah, thanks for that question. In that web, any place in that ebb or flow, coaching can help you. But let's be very clear, the difference between coaching, mentorship, counseling and therapy, like, there are times people confuse them. Coaching is very relevant if you have a goal you want to achieve. It's very distinct in terms of specific of what you actually want to achieve. You're able to give a timeline to it because you're not coached forever. It's time bound. It's objective focused. You want to change a job, career pivot. You want to balance life. You want to find your purpose. You have to be quite specific of what you want to achieve, and be clear on the short-term and long-term goals for that. Coaching is ideal when you're struggling with a decision. And again, for me, in all transitions of my life, I've had a coach. Because you don't, again, the Johari window, there are things you're aware of, and sometimes you're too close to certain things to be clear what's going on. It's always good to kind of have an external perspective, someone who holds the mirror and who deepens your reflection. So I would say that you can have a coach at Survive, Thrive, and Live. But I would say that coaching needs you to be quite clear around why do you need coaching, why now, and then be very clear on who's the right coach to work with you, right? There has to be rapport and trust, and you have to have established that. Not just anyone can coach you, and you need to know how to be able to choose the right fit for you.
Okay, so the last question, because I know we started 6 minutes late from me. You've mentioned about knowing the differences of the different people who people go to for guidance. Is there some situations where choosing the wrong? No, let me rephrase. Is there a situation where unqualified personnel can do more harm than good in this space?
Absolutely. And so I do think that there's something to be said around being well trained. And actually, Amakove, in the previous webinar, you mentioned this. Now, people are, anyone comes up and says, I'm a coach. I have gone through this experience. I can be a coach, right? I think life experience is important. But, there's something to be said about being qualified, being certified, being trained, because there is a rigor that goes into that, right? For example, I have had some people I coach, and during the coaching session, I realized that where we are at now and the issue that someone is struggling with, because again, I said coaching is about reflection, holding up the mirror, challenging someone to go deeper and really go, why do you self-sabotage? What has happened? What has happened in the past? As you're having such conversations, you might realize what is being revealed is now beyond coaching. There's something to do with either childhood trauma or something that has happened. And it is because if you're trained, you're able to identify this is beyond my professional qualifications or skill sets. This is someone I need to refer for therapy, for counseling, right? So if someone has not received training and is not certified and is not kept with the code of ethics, like I'm International Coaching Federation certified, like I'm very clear, and every year I'm very accountable to what I'm doing, my ethics, the code, training, CPD, growing myself, right? And so I feel like if someone is not trained and they're just winging it, because sometimes in some sectors, people can just try and wing it, and the areas you shouldn't be trying to wing it, you can actually do more harm into. So I encourage people to make sure that as they get coaches, that they're clear that those coaches are, trained, accredited, certified, to be able to walk the journey with them.
Great. I feel as if I've gone through a coaching session for free. Yeah.
My invoice will be in your inbox.
Yeah, but I don't know. Your session last month, I am usually very skeptical about, because everyone is now a coach, my dear, quote unquote. Yeah, it's like everyone is now a nutritionist, everyone is now a fitness instructor, and I feel we are losing that professionalism. So it's very easy to push away people who genuinely need coaching, just because of what's going out there that's maybe not as regulated as we may want it to be. But I want to really, really appreciate you and the work you and your team have done. I know we've spoken about this conversation a couple of times, and it's not easy, guys, to go through the coaching, to become a coach, to be very passionate. You had the passion that she has for planning, for mentoring other people, for coaching, let me use the word coaching, for coaching other people, that she went ahead to put down a process, a simplified process in which we are able to break down those goals. I'd like to remind you lastly that we've put the links on the chats, but also if you forget everything, just go to Enable Advisors. Their website is very easy to maneuver. The links to the documents are there to how to order for any of these books. And let me tell you, for someone who does not like planning, and like Angela, this is something that I have seen it work in the last 6 weeks. And guys, I think for me, this is just the beginning. I am determined. I owe it to myself that 2025 is going to be my year to 2025. Thank you so much, guys. Oh, there's a last burning question from Dr. Victor Wayue. Is there age limit to those who want to seek coaching? And then we wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. I do think there's a flaw. Okay, so I think especially for professional coaching, you can't be maybe 5 years old, like that would be a challenge. But I'm assuming you're asking about the upper limit. I don't think so. It's never, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I do think there's always a value coaching can have if you're very clear of your goals. There is some calibration and realisticness that needs to happen, depending on the age, but anyone, I believe, can benefit from coaching if they set realistic goals. So come one, come all. You can come the 3 generations that are then above, of course, a certain minimum age.
Thank you, guys. You've been a lovely, lovely audience. Angela, once more, asante sana, wishing you all the best. Don't be surprised if you're back, when people ask for you to come back. I don't know which topic, but maybe this time tell them, perhaps you need to pay something small for your advice. But I love that you're sharing so freely and generously, and just saying that, you know what, wish you best of luck. Even as you modify this, we'll give you feedback. We will purchase the journals.
Yeah.
Guys, let's promote one of our own. She's good. If I say someone is good, she's good. So thank you,
Yeah.
and have a lovely evening. We'll have this webinar recorded. We'll load it up on the Enable Advisors website, on
Yeah.
their YouTube channel. So look out for it. Thank you, and have a good
Yeah.
rest of
And
the
on
day.
that last note, Amakove, I think for me it'll be depending on the demand. So we have a poll for people to give us feedback around the webinars, and if
Okay.
there's demand and there's an interest, I know, Sharon, if you can run the poll just quickly.
Okay.
Let's get your feedback. It's just a poll that's there around feedback. We love to hear feedback and also grow from feedback, because to your point, Amakove, we want to know if we're adding value. Maybe we are not adding value. I hope that's not the case, but there's a reality. So let's hear from you if we are actually adding value as well. So there's a poll. And thank you for indulging us. For the people who are online, it's just, I think it's just 2 questions for the feedback. Those are poll were meant to run at the beginning, but I think the feedback would be really helpful for us to know if we can cover the questions we have at the end.
Okay, you may reclaim hosting. If not,
Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. Am I the host? Let us see. Is it? No. Is anyone in the back end the host?
I think I will stop sharing on.
Because I think we sent a thank you email and a feedback form. Again, we got many questions, which we are now answering on this webinar, but I feel like maybe most people gave better feedback live before they drop.
You can take back hosting. I've stopped live streaming on Facebook.
Okay.
You
Awesome.
can
Thank you.
reclaim the host status, Sharon. Guys, just indulge us a bit. We run the poll.
Yes. Awesome. Go ahead. I think the poll Should be able to, it should be showing up now. Voila.
Yes,
So let us
okay.
know. Are we spending our time well? Wait, hosts and panelists cannot vote. Why? Are we?
No, you're a host and a panelist. You can't vote. So it's the
Oh, we
audience.
can't see. Oh man. Oh man.
It's done a raffle.
So let us know for the people who are online. Was this worth your time? I think if we get as in at least 4 or 5 times, like if we get good, feedback, I think we are adding value. If people are left wanting more, maybe it's additional support materials we can share. So let us know, please. Vote. The people who are still online, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, so the
Nobody's
first
voting.
question is
Yes.
no, you will see it at the end in the webinar itself.
Yeah, I'm like,
So did you attend the first webinar? That's the first question. How would you rate it? Just click on rating between 1 star and 5 star, with 5 being the best. So that's just a click. So you don't need to type anything. How did you find today's webinar? Again, rate it between between 1 to 5. Last but not least, would you attend another webinar? Great.
Awesome.
Just feel free to drop off. We are done.
Yes.
And we are very grateful. I'll stop the recording just now.
Awesome. Thank you all for your time and spending your valuable assets with us in terms of your suggestions, your input, and your actual time. Thank you.
Thank you and have a lovely rest of the day.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, everyone. If you have voted, feel free to drop and we will stop the recording. So let's stop the recording to the host.